So now let's move on to Passport Gate. This has been a fun one. All right, let's go ahead and put this up there on the screen. It was ignited by this truth that the former president put out. Wow. In the raid by the FBI of Mar-a-Lago, they stole my 3 passports, 1 expired, along with everything else. This is an assault on a political opponent at a level never seen before in our country. Third world, exclamation mark. Now, why does this matter? First of all, there was rampant speculation online, Krystal, of, oh my God, this means the Department of Justice thinks he's a flight risk. All of this, like preventing him, they're going to charge him imminently, stop him from leaving the country. No, that's not how flight risks work. Those actually are ordered by a judge. We don't live in a country where the Attorney General can simply decide you don't get a passport or not. Thank God, by the way, that we live in said country. Now, it came to the question, though, of did they actually seize those passports? And immediately, the FBI actually objected to this. Let's throw this up there. Nora O'Donnell, she's the host of CBS News. She says, according to a DOJ official, the FBI is not in possession of a former President Trump's passports. Trump had accused the FBI of stealing his 3 passports during the search of Mar-a-Lago. So immediately the narrative became, oh, Trump is lying about the passports. Well, further, though, the Trump team has now released actually the email correspondence between themselves and between the FBI team. And let's go ahead and read it. So unfortunately, we don't have an element cut for everybody, but here's what the email traffic go ahead and says. This was sent August 15th, to be clear, yesterday at 10:50 a.m. Mountain Time. So you can do the conversion in your head. Evan and Jim, this is from Jay Bratt at the National Security Division of the Department of Justice. I'm reading directly. Evan, Jim, presumably members of Trump's legal team. We have learned that filter agents seized 3 passports belonging to President Trump, 2 expired, and 1 being his active diplomatic passport. We are returning them. They will be ready for pickup at the Washington field office at 2 p.m. today. I am traveling, but you can coordinate further with blank, who is copied above. Thanks. So, what do we learn from that? Yeah, they did take his passports. They took all 3 of his passports, as Trump claimed. Now, they're offering them back. However, it was very disingenuous, Krystal, of the FBI to say, no, we don't have his passports at all. It's true. I mean, you took the guy's passports. Now, I mean, in some ways, you could say this is the system working. Right. These so-called filter agents, their job, and I don't really understand how this is quasi-legal, but whatever. Their job is to basically sift through everything that's taken, determine what is privileged and non-pertinent information, and return that over. And then the investigative team is supposedly, again, supposedly, not allowed to use that information. I don't know. It seems a little sketchy to me. That being said, they did take the passport, and then they did offer to return it. So it's kind of a middle ground, but the fact is they did take his passports, all 3 of his passports, interestingly enough.
I should have picked up right away on the way they phrased that. So freaking weaselly.
Yeah, it is.
We are not in possession of the passports, which maybe technically was true at that point because they'd already returned them.
Right.
But it's like, I don't know why they felt the need to like push back so strongly on this when it is the case that they took them and then, they returned them and it's all fine and good, I guess. But I don't know. Very Weasley on the FBI's part, I guess I'll say.
Oh, absolutely. And look, I mean, it is extraordinary to seize the former president's passports, as they actually alluded to. And I didn't know this. Apparently, ex-presidents do get to keep diplomatic passports, which is fascinating because they're not actually government figures. But for
suddenly everybody became experts in like passport protocol yesterday. Afternoon
all I know about diplomatic passports is I get pissed off when I'm in the immigration line and I see those people get to zip through on the side. And apparently, as I understand it, what it is that diplomatic passport obviously means that you're an agent of the U.S. government or, in some affiliation, and thus your travel and your visa and all that is just a little bit different whenever you're going through both security and also whenever you're entering other countries as to your visa requirements. So apparently that's what it is. I guess it would make sense that it would apply to a former president, regardless of whether they were still in office or not. But anyway, it is true that they did take his passports. And look, I mean, they could just justify it and say, as I did, it was like, well, the filter team took it and then we gave it back and it's available, whatever, at the field office. But I mean, personally, I think that they just tried to quash the story and to spin things when they should have just been upfront and told the truth. The email traffic reveals clearly that they took the damn passports and then offered it back. Okay, fine. Just say that. But this was really a disingenuous move on their part and also on the media for not checking. What they should have said is, well, wait, hold on a second. Did you ever have them in your possession?
In possession?
Were they ever in your possession?
Yeah.
At any time? And it's also little things like this that give the Trump people real credence to be like, look, like these people are liars. You know, they're spinning things in the media, and the media doesn't ask critical questions, which is true. You should not be doing this.
You can't give them a single opening.
Yeah, and they've done that now. They really have. This is like, classic example of fake news.
Yeah. And the filter team thing is really ultra relevant because, Trump's latest yesterday went through all of his various defenses,
Yes.
Oh, they planted stuff. Oh, no, there was stuff, but it was not classified. As we all take work home from time to time. And one of the things he landed on was they took privileged information, both attorney-client privilege and executive privileged information. Now, as others pointed out, this is the way it works. These filter teams are supposed to sift through and pull that stuff out and then move forward with the investigatory relevant material. So I guess this shows that, those are the teams that are in place to try to handle that sifting and sorting.
Yeah.
So that's the very latest that we know in terms of Trump.
All right.
There was one more piece.
One more. Part
from
3.
Fox News. He did give a little interview.
Oh, that's right. Sorry.
So this is kind of funny because there had been one line in another report for, I don't know, New York Times or something that said that he had, through an ally, given a message to Merrick Garland in the Justice Department saying basically like, I want to turn the temperature down. Well, now he's saying this to Fox News. Let's go ahead and put this up on the screen. Trump, here's a headline from Fox News, a very favorable headline here. Trump, quote, will do whatever he can to help the country after FBI raid. Temperature has to be brought down. Here's a little bit more. He says that American people are not going to stand for another scam. The country's in a very dangerous position. There's tremendous anger like I've never seen before over all of the scams and this new one, years of scams and witch hunts. And now this, the country is in a very dangerous position. There's tremendous anger like I've never seen before over all of the scams. And this new one, years of scams and witch hunts, is repetitive. People are so angry at what is taking place, whatever we can do to help, because the temperature has to be brought down in the country. If it isn't, terrible things are going to happen. Then he goes on to make all sorts of inflammatory comments himself. Of course, continues to post all sorts of inflammatory stuff on Truth Social. So I don't think anyone should take at face value the idea that Donald J. Trump is trying to turn the temperature down in this country, because that is just not what he does ever in any instance in his entire life. So given that fact, I mean, I guess this is like a version of another defense. Basically, like, you shouldn't go after me because the country can't take it, regardless of whether there was wrongdoing, regardless of, what you found at Mar-a-Lago, whether it was classified or not, or sensitive national security information or not. You shouldn't go after me because the country is a tinderbox and it just can't take it. So it's almost sort of like a veiled threat of, if you continue down this path, bad things are going to happen.
I also read it another way, which is that he saw what happened at the FBI and he's like, I don't want this on me. He's like, I don't want any of these incidents to actually be traced back to me, because as you've seen post January 6th, it can cause you some serious issues, not only from a criminal investigation point of view, obviously also from a public hit perspective, and just, basic expansion of security state and more against his own supporters, which has really been a net negative for literally everybody. So I think you can read it literally both ways. I think you're right, though, Krystal. I mean, certainly, look, anybody who's in a public position is going to be like, hey, do you really want to go down this road? So anyway, I think on both sides, like, he both is using his personal profile, but also is probably weary of being tied to any more violence across the country, which, look, that's not a bad thing if he does have that in his head. Yeah. Let's move on then.
There was, there was one little nugget at the end of this interview, though, that I wanted to take note of, which is they say sources close to Trump told Fox News the former president will soon be making an announcement about a potential presidential run in 2024. We had before talked about speculation that he may move up his announcement. We covered yesterday the polls that show basically his position with the GOP base has never been better, never been stronger since he lost the last election. And so he could potentially announce before the midterms, maybe post-Labor Day, which I'm quite sure that Republicans wanting to take control of the House and Senate do not want whatsoever.
He doesn't care.
No, he definitely doesn't care. The last thing that they want is for this midterm election to be any sort of referendum on Trump versus Biden. They want it to just be about Biden, just be about inflation. So him inserting himself into the political fray just before the midterms could be another sort of disaster for them.
For the national GOP, yes. For his own personal profile, he'd be a fool.
It's probably wise. Yeah, agreed.
I think he'd be a fool. He should do it. He should have done it 2 days ago. The moment that Glenn Youngkin and Ron DeSantis are all coming to his defense, he should have been like, I am the 2024 nominee. Freeze the entire thing in place. None of them have any standing to run against him. So, yeah, look, I mean, it's one of those cases where the national GOP and their fate is not tied with Trump's own personal incentives whatsoever.
Yeah.
The longer he waits, frankly, he's doing himself a disservice. I am not saying this as somebody who's advocating for it, only telling you analytically.
Analysis of what the facts are at this point. Cable news is ripping us apart, dividing the country, making it impossible to function as a society, and making it impossible to know just what is true and what is false. But the good news is they are failing and they know it.
That is why we're building something new, a new mainstream, a healthier one, something more trustworthy, something that we are going to need in one of the most pivotal times in American history. We are building up here for the midterms, for the upcoming presidential election, but we need your help. So if you can help us out by becoming a premium member today at breakingpoints.com, we're trying to change America for the better and the entire world.
So what are you waiting for, guys? Go to breakingpoints.com and sign up and help us build a new mainstream.